welcome to today's session. We're going to be talking about occupational well-being this week, and I'm really excited to have Tash Minchella with us. Hi, Tash.
Hey Gemma, nice to be here.
How are you doing?
Yes, I'm really good, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you for being here. Tash, would you mind just telling us a little bit more about yourself, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm Tash Minchella and I am a creative person who happened to end up becoming a corporate and commercial lawyer, which isn't necessarily the kind of most usual route for creative people to kind of explore their creativity. And I qualified as a solicitor in the late 90s. I did my training at a fantastic top 10 city law firm in London, which was an amazing experience, fantastic training. But I struggled with what I call the corporate mask whilst I was working in the city. And throughout my kind of traditional corporate legal career, that was always an issue. And then about 6 years ago now, 6 years ago, I suffered burnout and I started my own business, which is called The Orchard. And I support coaches and mentors and heart-centered service businesses with getting their contracts and all of their essential legal foundations in place. And now I absolutely love what I do, but it was a bit of a journey to get here. So yeah, in essence, that's what I do.
Wow. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's unpack this a little bit. So
Yes.
how did you make that step into that world when you say that you were such a creative person? How did that happen?
Um, So, do you know what? I just didn't know what to do. I did a degree, which I did a languages degree. It was a very traditional languages degree, so it involved a lot of kind of studying of literature. It was a really good institution, it was a great academic degree, and I came out of it in a position where I could, in a sense, choose what I wanted to end up doing, which is such a fortunate place to be. But I just wasn't sure what that looked like. And I wasn't bold enough in a way to follow any dreams that I might have had. And in fact, the dreams I had weren't kind of concrete enough anyway. I suppose looking back, I should have spent more time thinking about what would I have loved to do, but I didn't. I was on that conveyor belt. I came out of university, and my dad said to me, why don't you think about maybe becoming a solicitor, qualifying as a solicitor as a first step, because you'll be well paid, it will open loads of doors for you, and it's a good thing to do whilst you're trying to work out what your life's passion is. So of course, I was lucky enough, I got a training contract, so that's what I did. But what happened was I found I really quickly got on this stuck on this conveyor belt, if you like, because I was earning a really decent wage. It was a really nice standard of living. There were lots of great things that came with being a corporate lawyer. And so then it just became a little bit difficult to step off that conveyor belt once I was on it.
Yeah. I've heard you sort of talk about your kind of early training experiences as a bit Ally McBeal. Was it was it
Yes.
was it a lot of fun?
It was loads of fun. Yeah, it was loads of fun. So there was there was a side of it that was really fun. It was at a time when there was um quite a lot of cash floating around in the city. It wasn't a time of scarcity. It was a time of abundance, actually. And I was in the heart of it. I was at this law firm. There was kind of marble everywhere, amazing training, lots of really lovely people. I met fantastic people. I was at a great firm, which although I talk about struggling with the corporate mask, actually the firm I was at did have a really good ethos, and it was much more kind of collegiate and less corporate than a lot of firms. So I was really lucky where I was, and I made lots of friends that I'm still friends with now. But I still felt out of alignment, out of kilter with how I was. I wasn't able to be truly myself in lots of ways. And I remember people would kind of think I was quite a kind of eccentric, a bit of a kind of hippie-ish type of a lawyer. I remember thinking, oh my goodness, you don't even know the half of it. This is me trying to really kind of fit in and hold myself back. So that was quite interesting.
Yeah. So when did that, when did that start to become a struggle for you?
Well, do you know what? For several years, I did it. I actually did then take a chunk of time out. So I moved away from London. I moved to the Midlands, and I did take a couple of years where I had my children, and I started an import business. So I did actually follow my entrepreneurial path, passion to a degree. At that stage, but what happened was it just circumstances changed. I needed to make sure that I had a steady wage coming in. And so the easiest thing to do at that point was say, do you know what? I've learned a lot through running my own business for a couple of years. I'm going to go back into corporate law. I've now got more life experience, more experience from my kind of client's point of view. I'll be able to support them better. I'm going back into corporate law, which is what I did. But it was still, it still felt that the corporate mask got in the way. It was still, I felt like I was out of alignment with being who I really wanted to be. And that built up over time. So I was back in for a number of years, and it built up over time. The other thing that I found was as I became more experienced and had more expertise, the less I was able to help the business that I really loved helping. So that was really frustrating as well. So I'd see businesses who were kind of creative entrepreneurs who didn't have much budget or were in the first couple of years of business. And so those clients got passed down to the junior members of the team, the junior members of the department, and the trainees. And I was up here, getting to a senior level, not able to help those businesses. I found that really frustrating as well. But the thing that kind of the straw that broke the camel's back is I moved around. I kept trying to find different ways to kind of find my niche and get into my groove with what I was doing. And they didn't, none of them worked. And then the straw that broke the camel's back is when I took on an entire caseload, which was to do with a certain type of corporate transaction, which had quite a big regulatory aspect to it. And I just went, yes, I'll take this on. Yes, I'll give this a go. And it was just miserable. And I came in every night and was just kind of crying on the sofa. And I just thought, you know what? Something's got to change here. I've got to make a massive change here. So that's when I started to shake things up and following a different path.
Yeah, gosh. So would you mind telling us, I know you sort of mentioned being quite emotional. What other kind of signs were there kind of around burnout? What did you experience?
That's a really good question. I just felt like I wasn't myself. I wasn't myself at all. So I was emotional. I was teary. I also wasn't myself, and I just felt really weighed down. And I started to notice that the thing that happened at the same time, which was brilliant, is that I didn't let myself get so low that I couldn't look around a little bit. So what happened was, whilst I was starting to feel low and emotional, I started also to look around to find figures, people that had gone before that inspired me. And actually, I found it hard to look around in the UK and find any women in business at the time that inspired me. It's different now. 6 years on, there are a lot more people around that I would have found inspiring. But back then, there wasn't really. But I looked across to the US, and it's through social media really helped me. And I know social media gets knocked enormously, but actually it really helped me because it helped me to find people that I thought, actually, I like the way you're doing business. I like the way you're doing business. And so those things, and looking what those people were talking about and the way in which they talked about business compared to how I was feeling about what I was doing, there was just a world of difference. And I could feel the kind of excitement and the freedom around the way they spoke about things and were doing things compared to how I was feeling day to day. And I just thought, I don't want any more of this, and I want more of this. So as well as being emotional and feeling weighed down in the pressure, it was also noticing how I felt when I was around the things that lit me up. And so it's those two things together that help push me to go in search of that other feeling.
Yeah. So what were some of those things that you thought, oh, I want a little bit more of that?
Well, do you know what? It was just talking about first it was the idea of being more flexible. Flexibility in how I was doing things is important. Location independence was important to me. I realized not being in an office day in, day out, but also choosing the sorts of businesses and the sorts of people. And following on from that, I talk about energy a lot. I talk about energy in relation to contracts. As far as I'm concerned, contracts are all about an exchange of energy. So I wanted to be around a different type of energy to the energy that I was around. And that meant choosing the sorts of clients that I acted for, but also choosing the sorts of business people I interact with. And do you know what? I don't really hang out with lawyers that much anymore. There are a few online lawyers that I'm connected with a little bit who operate a bit like I do, but we're a bit of a rare breed. I don't choose to spend my time around traditional lawyers. Particularly, what I do is I choose my clients because I absolutely set me alight with what they do, and I love helping their businesses. I also choose my business buddies, so I'm surrounded by a network with online, not in real life, a really great business community, and that makes all the difference as well. So that choosing my clients, but also choosing my business community has made an enormous difference. And it's not the traditional legal business community, and that's I'm good with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So why coaches? How did you come to work with people like us?
So when I was making that jump and deciding what I wanted things to look like, I went on my own kind of personal journey. That was back in around 2015. And one of the things I did, so one of the people I was following and inspired by online at the time was Danielle Laporte, a woman called Danielle Laporte, who talks about business with soul. I've got my soul sweatshirt on today, coincidentally, but talks about business with soul. And so she licensed people to run workshops called Desire Map workshops. And so I just knew that she'd started to license people. And I just thought, I wonder if she's licensed anyone in the UK. And at the time, I think there was literally two people, one in London, one in Scotland. And so I got in touch with the person who'd been licensed in London. She happened to be running a workshop that was coming up, and I just signed up for it. And there were very few of us on this workshop. And I think my husband thought I was completely nuts. What are you doing, Tash? Where are you going? Tell me what it is again. So I just got this thing. I'm going to go and do it. And it was absolutely brilliant. And I went to a few more of her workshops, and she became my first client. The person who ran the workshops became my first client. Louise George, she's still a client of mine. I absolutely adore her. And she became my first client, and she was a business and success coach. And it was just a really good fit. So I did some work for her, and then she spread the word, and then I did some more work for some more coaches, and the word just spread, and it was just the most natural, organic thing. It wasn't a deliberate thing at all. Happened very organically. But before I knew it, 97% of my clients were coaches. I hadn't advertised or anything, and it was such a great fit that I just thought, the universe is telling me something here. I'm going to now actually speak to the fact that I specialize in helping coaches, because I developed this niche area of expertise. But one of the reasons I absolutely love helping coaches and mentors in particular is because I now, whenever I'm doing anything in my life, want results in my life, I get a coach or a mentor, be it in my fitness and my health, in my relationships, my well-being, you name it, I will get a coach or a mentor. And I've had such amazing results in my life as a result, that I just know the great work that can be done. And so I absolutely love supporting coaches and mentors, so they feel safe to go all in with their clients. And it really is the ripple effect, and it's just, that's when I feel in flow. So that was the decision. Yeah, that was the reason I made that decision.
Wow, fantastic. So what advice would you give to people who feel like they're not quite aligned with what they're doing, they can't quite be them true selves? What would you tell them?
Just to find a bit of space, I think, to listen to themselves and to tune in. That was the really important thing for me, was just finding a bit of space. It's so difficult sometimes, isn't it? And when we're just stuck in the day-to-day of just trying to get through it, without having a meltdown, it's so difficult to find that space. But and it feels like the biggest extravagance at the time, even though it doesn't cost any physical, money. It feels like the biggest extravagance, but I think that's the most important thing. And so for me, going along to those workshops in 2015 and just making a bit of space to think about what I wanted my life to feel like on a day-to-day basis, that was the start of it. So I think just finding some space and finding something like a workshop. It can be an online workshop. And even now, I'm still get stuck in sometimes to the day-to-day and can't find space. And every now and again, I'll sign up for something. There'll be some online event, I'll sign up for it, and I'll just think, I need a bit of space, and I'm going to use this event as the reason to create space. Because if you're signed up to an event, you will hopefully block out the time in your diary. It's quite difficult to be disciplined to do that without something to hang it on. So maybe sign up for some kind of event, which will allow time within it to journal and explore, and just create a bit of space to listen to yourself and see what's going on. That's my biggest piece of advice.
Fantastic, thank you. So how can people find out more about you?
So the best way, if they want to find out more about me, the best way, and I'll share a link, Gemma, with you afterwards, maybe be the best thing to do. But this is my husband turning up with my coffee. Isn't that nice? Coffee delivery service. Thanks, darling. That I will share a link with you, and they can sign up for a help sheet that just helps to get them going if they're looking for help in their business with their legals. I've also got a sister membership now that helps small businesses generally, because we've had so much success with our coaches legal membership. So even if they're not a coach or a mentor, I definitely can help them. So if I give you this link, then people can sign up for that, and then I'll stay in touch with them about what I've got going on. And I'm always offering great free legal hints and tips and that kind of a thing. So it's a good way for people to stay in touch with me.
Brilliant, thank you. Yep, so we'll make sure we pop the link in the comments below. But just wanted to say a massive thank you, Tash. It's been fantastic, and I'm sure it'll be really useful for people to hear about your experience.
Oh, you're so welcome. And the other thing I'd say to people is not to give up hope. It is entirely possible to completely change what you're doing, and find success in it. It really is possible to do it. So don't ever be scared about making changes.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Please like and comment. Please hit the notification button and subscribe. Next time we're going to be talking about physical well-being with diet expert Adam Grayston. Thank you.